Hey everyone, thank you for listening to the Pain and Panic Trip Planning Podcast. My name is Haley Ragsdale and I'm here with my brother, Owen Rederer.
Gotcha. Hey, y'all.
I was like, no. Just so everyone knows, this is our 5th time starting the recording because Owen's connection keeps lagging. So if we lose him, we lose him, and I'm just going to keep on going. But he's here and he's pulling pranks, so
I'll
see what
join in
happens.
as much as I can. Keep going back.
Um, but it's a good thing. Today we've got kind of the ultimate guide to mastering lightning lanes, securing dining reservations, and tackling kind of all the crucial planning steps before you even leave for Walt Disney World. So this is one where I'm probably going to do a lot of the talking and Owen just chimes in with some sarcastic comments. So it's the perfect episode for his connection not to be working super well. But we're going to be sharing all of our tips for maximizing your time, minimizing stress, and making the most of every magical moment before you even leave for Walt Disney World. I am a travel agent affiliated with Academy Travel, and I would love to help you plan your next Disney vacation. You can reach out to me at Haley.Ragsdale at academytravel.com to start planning your next dream vacation at Walt Disney World, Disneyland, Universal, Adventures by Disney, Disney Cruise Line, and so much more. Okay, so like we said today, we're going to be talking about kind of the planning stages to planning your Walt Disney World vacation. Before we do that, let's talk a little bit about some of the news that's happened so far this week. So at Disney World, Disney is actually taking full control of Hulu within the next week or so. So they're paying Comcast, NBC Universal approximately $439 million to acquire the remaining stake in Hulu. And then they'll take full ownership of it. So that's, I know, right? Like, that's a lot of money, people. All for
Hoping to go to
Hulu.
a new park. Excuse me.
Yeah, right, exactly. We didn't need to be partnered with Hulu. I didn't need to see R-rated things on my Disney Plus. But here we are.
The only exception is if they make a Modern Family ride at Disney World. Do they get ownership over the shows? Probably not. But
I don't know. Well, isn't that ABC? Is Modern Family ABC? Because I think Disney owns ABC. I think. I could be totally wrong about that, but I don't know. But Test Track, they're pretty sure the reopening is going to be pretty soon because the construction walls around Epcot have been around like Test Track have been removed. So that indicates that the reimagined attraction is close to reopening. The big thing that happened this week that you probably saw on social media if you follow a bunch of Disney influencers like I do, Muppets, the Muppets area has officially closed. So they had their last Muppet Vision 3D. They say hallelujah. Some people were really sad. Some people are selling like air in a jar from the last like Muppet Vision 3D show. Like there's all sorts of random things online right now. But Muppets is officially closed. I think Rock and Roller Coaster is still open, but I don't know when it's closing to be rethemed. In August, Hollywood Studios is going to have early park closure, so keep an eye on that if you're heading there in August, which I am hoping to go in August. We're going to see. I'm this close to convincing Jack we should go for my birthday week.
Nice.
So fingers crossed. All right. Grab and Goof is now open at Epcot. It's got kid-friendly snacks and lots of Goofy-themed snacks. Like there's the big fish bowl. I don't remember what it's called, but it looks really good. It's themed well. It's all like Goofy themes, so it looks super duper cool. Those are the big things happening at Disney. Owen, you have anything to add that I didn't mention?
I don't think so. The biggest things I've been seeing were Muppets closing down and the Grab and Goo, which both I'm happy about.
Yeah, right. I did enjoy Muppet Vision 3D, so I'm a little sad that it's closing, but I'm really excited for Monsters, Inc., so I'm okay.
I was about to say, I am totally fine with them changing it to Monsters, Inc. You know me. I'm a big Monsters, Inc. fan, so.
The big stuff going on at Universal right now, they're kind of going all Halloween Horror Nights right now, all of that promo stuff. Um, and so they just announced that there's going to be a Fallout haunted house, which looks insane, looks super duper cool. Megan is the girl that I was trying to think of, the like weird robot horror movie girl. She's all over the place. So she's back for Halloween Horror Nights this year. Tickets are on sale for most nights for Halloween Horror Nights. So if you are interested in Halloween Horror Nights or Mickey's Not So Scary, let me know. I'll be happy to set you up with those tickets. Get you planned for a trip. Um,
They did release for Disneyland. They did release the new looks for the medals of the Halloween half. I sent those to you. Those look really cool.
oh yeah, those look super cool. It's got what Maleficent on the half marathon medal, and then Pain
Yeah.
and Panic on what the 5K or the 10K.
Uh, no, Pain and
They
Panic
look
are on the
awesome.
9.7 or whatever, or the 9 miler or something,
Oh,
and
yeah,
then it's Corella Deville on the
yeah.
10K, and who was on the 5K? It was Ursula. Ursula was on the 5K.
And Maleficent is what the challenge medal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Those look insane. Those look fantastic. And
Oh,
I
they look good.
don't think that I don't think they're doing Disneyland again next year. I don't think Anaheim approved it for next year.
What do you mean? Like they aren't doing
Like,
the halves anymore? Like the races in
I don't,
Disneyland?
I don't think so. Let me
What
look.
the?
Disneyland next year. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they didn't get approval from Anaheim again.
Is this going to be like a forever thing or just for time being?
After the conclusion of the 2026 Disneyland Half Marathon Weekend, Run Disney Races at the Disneyland Resort will be placed on hiatus due to upcoming construction impacts. This means
Uh,
that if you're hoping to participate in a Run Disney event at Disneyland in the future beyond this specific weekend, you'll need to wait for further announcements regarding their return. Which this has happened before. They've gone on hiatus before, so hopefully they'll be back at some point. But
I was about to
for right
say,
now, these are the last races at Disneyland.
at some point I want to do the coast to coast
Hopefully.
medal.
Yeah, I want to do the Dumbo Double Dare because I want the Dumbo medal. So
That's fair.
we can do it. We'll do it one year when we're rich. All right, so let's get into all of your trip planning hacks and all that kind of stuff. So, Owen, how do you plan a Disney vacation?
I let Haley do it. That's the key.
Good answer. I want to make one of those TikToks that's like the "Hi, I'm Haley and I buy all the tickets," and then it's like "Hi, I'm Owen." It cuts. I feel like we need to do one of those
Hi, I'm
because
Owen,
that's
and I
pretty
drink
much
at Epcot. That's my job.
yeah, exactly. Um, but yeah, there is a lot that goes into planning a Walt Disney World vacation. And it's got a lot. It's gotten a lot more complicated over the years, which is kind of why I wanted to get into the Disney travel agent stuff because I love doing it. I'm very type A in terms of planning. So I love planning a Disney vacation and getting up at 6 a.m. and booking dining reservations and lightning lanes and keeping up with all of that stuff. Um, for other people, it causes a lot of stress. So that's why I'm here to help because Disney shouldn't be stressful. It should be fun and exciting. But there are so many things that you have to do ahead of time if you really want to maximize your time. But then it can also make you feel like if I don't do absolutely everything in the parks, then I haven't been successful, which it's really hard to do. Like, there's so much to do at the parks, there's so many things to see. You're not going to be able to do everything. And so, making the most out of every experience that you are having and taking your time and soaking it in, I feel like the more planning you do ahead of time and figure out, okay, these are my big things that I really absolutely want to do, the more success you're going to have once you're there.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about kind of setting your expectations first of all. Disney planning is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So the earlier that you can start planning, the more flexibility you're going to have. So even with booking my trip. If you have a little bit of flexibility within your trip, that helps too. Like a lot of times I like to look at flights because, like Knoxville, for example, you can fly Allegiant direct on Mondays and Fridays. So direct from Tyson McGee to MCO. And so sometimes I'll like plan around that, like maybe a long weekend, Friday to Monday. That's what I did for this last Universal trip. Or even if you do like Monday to Monday, Friday to Friday, Monday to Friday, whatever that might look like for you. If you are wanting to fly, I definitely suggest look at your flights and then build around that. With things like Run Disney or sometimes with like the Halloween parties and things like that, it's going to be a little harder to plan it that way. You may have to plan around the events that you're going to be going to once you're down there. But if you're like, we're just going for a few days to celebrate my birthday, which is what I'm trying to convince my husband to do, then you have a little more flexibility with that. And anything on planning your dates?
I mean, I guess you can also think about, weather and what kind of season it is going to be. Like, obviously, like the holiday season is pretty busy because that's when people are able to
Yep.
take off work, but also because that's when a lot of the events are. So I'd say
Yeah.
like if you're looking for a non-busy month, I think February till April is probably the slowest time. And that's what it is for most theme parks, right? Because it's a little
Yeah.
bit colder, but also there's not a lot of huge things going on. I mean, they have some like the Festival of the Arts is during that time. Um, but you
Yeah.
get what I'm saying. They have events year round, but the most important ones are definitely going to be like the Halloween, the Christmas, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So planning around that is
February is
important.
definitely the best time to go, for sure. Because, like you said, I mean, a big thing to think about too is like a school calendar. If you can go when you know kids are in school, do it. Like February is a great time to go. It's also really nice in Orlando in February. Like it's a little cooler. It's not super hot. The summer right now has actually been a little slower. Um, which is interesting. And I'm thinking part of it's because it's so hot in Orlando right now. Um, that people are like, I don't want to go to Orlando and sweat in a theme park this year. Um,
What you?
so you kind of have to know what you're getting. I know, right? I will happily go sweat in a theme park. um, but yeah, if you go in like March and April, you can sometimes run into that spring break rush. So just be aware of that.
Yeah.
Some other things to be aware of are like the different parties and things. So like the Halloween party, the Christmas party. If you're gonna go those times of year and you're like, I want to go to Magic Kingdom, but I don't want to go to the Halloween party. Okay, well make sure you're going to Magic Kingdom. There's a couple ways you could go about it, right? You could say, I'm not going on a party day because I want to be there at park close. Or you can say, I'm going to go during the day on party day. And then when I get kicked out at 4, 6 o'clock, I get kicked out and I hop over to another park. But the park is probably going to be a little more empty during the day before that party because most people aren't going to get there until later in the day. So there's a couple different like tricks to kind of going around those things. But knowing when those are during your trip is super important. So you can factor those in because the last thing you want is to plan your Magic Kingdom day, plan to be there for fireworks and park close, and then you get there and turns out you got to be out of the park by 6 p.m. and you didn't know that. That can really put a damper on your trip. So looking into those things and making sure the crowd calendars. If there's a Run Disney event, marathon weekend, you don't want to go to Epcot until afternoon, really, on marathon day because people are still running through Epcot. You can't really get through Epcot. So unless you're participating in the marathon, you don't want to be there till later in the day. Um, so knowing what's going on at the parks is super important for planning your time at Walt Disney World. Um, you can also think about your resort selection. So there are on-site benefits. So if you're staying at a Disney World resort, you're going to have early theme park entry most of the time. And then you also have, we'll talk about this in a minute too, but with dining reservations, for example, if you're staying on site, you can make dining reservations for your entire stay 60 days prior to that first day. Versus if you're staying off site, you can make them like 60 days at a time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like 60 days from that first day. Then the next day you can do 60 days from that second day, and so on and so forth. So that's a great perk to staying on site. Same with like lightning lanes. It works the same way there. If you're staying on site, you can make them 7 days ahead of time. If you're staying off site, you can make them 3 days ahead of time. So you kind of get that perk over other people in terms of booking ahead of time. It's also your transportation is going to be way more reliable if you're staying at a Disney resort. There are any of the like partner hotels are probably going to have shuttles to and from the parks, but they're probably going to have like 1 or 2 shuttles maybe that are going to all of the parks. Whereas Disney, you're going to see a bus for a park every 15 minutes for like your park. For, there's going to be a bus for Animal Kingdom every 15 to 30 minutes. There's going to be a bus for Magic Kingdom every 15 to 30 minutes versus one shuttle taking everybody everywhere, right? So that's something to think about as well. And these are all things too, if you do book a trip with me, I'm going to talk you through. So if you are wanting to book a trip, I typically will ask people like, okay, what are your like big things you absolutely want to do? Like some people will be like, oh, I love Star Wars. And I really want to see the Star Wars stuff in Hollywood Studios. So that's their like top tier thing that they want to do. Okay, well then your best scenario in terms of resort stays is to stay somewhere on the Skyliner because you'll have easy access to Hollywood Studios, for example. So things like that are always things to keep in mind. You've got young kids and you want to be on the monorail because you want to be able to get to Magic Kingdom easily and you want to be able to go back and forth to Magic Kingdom. Okay, well then we're going to look at contemporary Polynesian, whatever it might be, that's on that monorail loop, so you have easy access to Magic Kingdom. So there are a lot of different factors that we'll take into account when we're getting ready to book that trip. Oh, and anything you want to add? I feel like I'm winded
Yes.
here.
I mean, in terms of transportation, my personal favorite has been anything with the skyline. So like Pop Century, that one's pretty, or Art of Animation. Those two are definitely my favorites because that skyline is so quick. Like the lines, it doesn't matter how long the line is. Like we've had lines that are 100+ people and we still get on it within like 15 minutes. Like it's super quick. Sometimes it does stop, but it's very like it's usually just for like when they're letting on a disabled person or like if someone's struggling to get on. Like it's very quick and it is very nice being able to get to like Hollywood Studios and what's it called? The other one.
Epcot.
Hollywood Studios.
Epcot.
Yeah, yeah, those are the two most important ones in my opinion. Hollywood Studios and Epcot. Those are the best ones. So easy access to those.
That's totally fair.
Yeah.
That's totally fair. I mean, we're thinking about going in August, right? And part of that is because they have that 3-day summer ticket. And so it's basically a bundle of 3 tickets. And you can go to Animal Kingdom, Epcot, and Hollywood Studios. So you can't go to Magic Kingdom with them. But it's like $89 a day. And you get all 3, like you pay. So it's like $300 for each of us, pretty much. So we're looking at doing that. And then we were like, well, we may as well spend like the money we're saving on our tickets. We may as well spend a little bit to make sure we're at Pop. So that way we can just hop on the Skyliner for 2 of the 3 parks that we're going to be visiting. And it's fantastic. It's so fast. You're never waiting super long. You can just push the stroller right on. It's a game changer. Like, it's the monorail, but more accessible for more people.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
And quicker.
All right. Shall we talk about dining reservations?
This is my favorite.
I know, I love a good dining reservation. So the 60-day rule. And I usually will remind my clients like the week ahead of time, hey, your 60-day dining reservation window is coming up next week, and then usually the night before. I do offer to help people like with their bookings because I don't mind hopping on at 6 a.m. and booking lightning lanes or dining reservations. But I do like to tell people that I don't have any like magic when it comes to that, right? Like, yes, I'm a travel agent, and so I can get you like great deals and things that maybe are a little harder to find, or like figuring out which deal is going to work best for your family and things like that. But I don't have like a magic phone number that I can call to make sure you get the dining reservation you want or something like that. But I am happy to help and try to get you those dining reservations you want, if you're not super comfortable, like technology wise and things like that. Um, Say hi, Uncle Mo. Okay, so the 60-day rule. So basically, if you're staying on site 60 days ahead of your first day of your vacation, you can go ahead and book dining reservations for your entire stay up to 10 days. Um, so this is a very crucial advantage, because everybody's staying off site. They can book like 60 days book to that day, right? And so with that advantage, that means some of those dining reservations that are a little harder to get, um, plan them toward the end of your vacation because they're not going to be taken up. And try to get those first, right? So, say you're trying to get Topolino's, which is one of our favorites. The Topolino's brunch with the Mickey characters is fantastic. Um,
Yeah.
I like even hesitate to say that on the podcast because it's so hard to get already, but it's so good. It's so
Yeah.
wonderful.
Yeah. Y'all get in line behind us. We're perfect.
That steak and eggs combo with the French press with
Oh,
Donald, it's just a grand old time.
yeah.
Um, but like for that, for example, I usually try to make that reservation at the end of my vacation because there's going to be more reservations available because the only people that have been able to book those are people who have the same trip start day or a couple days before me, right? So you're going to have more likelihood of being able to get those ones later in the week versus the front end of the week. Does that kind of make sense how I'm explaining that?
Yeah. Yeah. Because like if you have so pretty much the advantage is whenever if you're staying on site, Disney counts your trip as one big trip versus like individual days. So your
Yeah.
60-day period, if you're on
Yep.
site, starts at that first day, and you get to book for your whole trip. They pretty much make it like a package almost. So I get what you're saying. Um,
Exactly.
Now, with all this in
Yes.
mind, like Haley's saying, sometimes some reservations can be hard to get. For instance, Topolino's. But if you don't get that reservation when you first are trying to book, don't worry. It's always possible that one, someone will cancel. Two, you could even really attempt a walk up if it's that important. Like for instance, me and Haley when we did our Run Disney, we didn't even get Topolino's, and Haley's the master. You know, sometimes it happens. Sometimes it's booked up. So, you know, if that is the case, you can always consider other options. It's not the end of the world. Although for us it was because we didn't get to go, and I was very sad. But there's always other options.
Well, and that's a good point to make too. Like we were there for the Run Disney weekend, right? So that
Yeah,
pretty much knocks out like we were there for Dopey. We were doing 4 races. So 4 of our days in Disney, we were getting up super duper early, going and running, and then usually going back and taking a naps, and then really not getting out until later in the morning or already into the afternoon. And
yeah,
so with Topolino's, the characters are only there at breakfast. So like we were going for breakfast, right? We had to see Donald and his little artist smock thing. Um, and so that knocked out multiple days for us to even be able to try to go to Topolino's, right? Um, so that makes it a little harder as well. But a lot of people will cancel a day or 2 days beforehand. So I always tell people that like 24 to 48 hours before whatever reservation you actually want, that's a great time to be looking at the app, refreshing, and trying to get a reservation that someone's canceling. There was one point where we were literally like, I want to say it was during the half marathon. We were like halfway through the half, and I was like, Owen, I can get a reservation for 2 at Topolino's in like an hour and a half. We could totally hop on the Skyliner after this and go. But we were both gross and had just run a half marathon, and we were like, no, not gonna happen.
yeah. That dude, I wanted to so bad though. I wanted to so bad. Topolino's is
But
fantastic. Ugh.
yes, but things will pop up, right? And so looking a couple days before you're wanting that reservation, even the night before, a lot of things will pop up in that time frame. I've gotten like Ohana the day before, even the day of. I've gotten Oga's the day of, Be Our Guest. Some of those bigger ones, like they'll pop up here and there. You can also join the walk up list. So you can literally walk up and ask them if they have any availability. You can also join the walk up list on the app. And so that'll say like join walk up list. Um, just need to be there within an hour or something, or whenever you're called or something like that. I've never actually used the walk up list within the app. I've gone up and put myself on the walk up list, but it's pretty self explanatory when you look at it in the app. So a couple places have things like that as well.
Yeah. Also,
Um,
another. What were you gonna say?
you go ahead.
Um, Another thing is with the dining reservations specifically, it's good to book as many options as possible. Mainly because one, you can cancel them. You know, it's not like there's a charge or anything. And honestly, that's what a lot of people do. So, like when we're talking about like, ooh, people cancel, a day or two beforehand. Usually, it's because you try and get as many options as possible. So that way, like, because sometimes you might be like, oh, I'm not really feeling Woody's Roundup today, but you have this reservation. You can just be like, oh, I'm going to cancel this one and move on, and then someone else can have it. But it's good to just go ahead and have them all scheduled ahead of time. Like, be proactive with getting as many reservations as you can, because it's okay to cancel one if you end up not feeling it. You know what I mean? I know Haley's done that before for
Yeah,
us.
yeah. That's usually my like. I usually book all the ones that we could potentially want and then cancel them as we go. Most of the restaurants do have a like 2 hour cancellation policy. So you just have to cancel like 2 hours before the reservation. Some of them have a little bit longer, like some of those really popular ones. Like I want to say Topolino's might be a longer cancellation, but for the most part, most of them it's like 2 hours before you just have to cancel. But also there was one time I had run, it was like I think it was on a marathon day. It was the day I ran the marathon, and we were walking around Epcot, and I was like, Mom, I'm not feeling good. I don't even remember where we had the reservation for. Oh, it was Rose and Crown. And my mom went up to the thing, and they were like, hey, you have a reservation in like 15 minutes, but my daughter ran the marathon today and she's really not feeling well. And they were like, oh, no problem. We'll take care of it for you. And so they didn't charge us. So a lot of times they'll work with you. Like they're not, I think it's like $10 a person is your late canceled charge, but I've never actually been charged to that. So that's just if you cancel in the app, I think. Um, but like I said, that's 2 hours before. Most of the time, if you're going to make it to a reservation more than 2 hours before.
Yeah.
So yeah, I say book as many as you think you're going to want and then go from there. In terms of kind of planning how you're going to attack that 60-day reservation, I always tell people go in with a plan, list out the reservations that you're going to want, and then prioritize the reservations you're going to want. Like if your daughter's going to throw a complete fit if she doesn't get Cinderella's royal table, okay, then maybe that's the first one we're going to book. Base it off of your priorities as well as the popularity of the restaurant, right? Like Topolino's is always the first one I try to book. And then after that, it's going to be bigger ones that are usually newer. Like for a while, Oga's was one of the first ones I would book. Now it's not as like much of a big ticket one. Not as many people are wanting to do it. So yeah, think about how popular the restaurant is and how much you really want to go to that restaurant.
Yeah. Some key restaurants, if you guys are trying to think of which ones to plan, my personal favorites are obviously Topolino's. Uh, Tusker House was phenomenal, breakfast and lunch. If you book it right at 10 a.m., you literally can be there for the breakfast and then also eat the lunch whenever they set it up. Like it's literally like we literally got the breakfast and the lunch. because it's a African buffet and it's delicious. And then I would also say Woody's Roundup. Those three were probably have always been my favorite. So
And Woody's goes pretty fast. Sci-fi Dine in Theater will go pretty
ooh,
fast.
yeah, that one's good.
That one's a lot of fun too. Ohana's usually goes pretty fast. That one's delicious. Oh, and I need to take you to that one. That one's at the Polynesian.
Oh,
Oh, it's
I
so
bet it's
good.
good.
It's like Hawaiian food, and it's an all-you-can-eat, like family platter kind of deal.
Nice.
It's real good. Um, so yeah, and if you are planning your trip and you're looking into those dining reservations and you're wondering, like, I'm happy to help you. Send me a list of the ones that you're wanting to go to, and I'll tell you, hey, maybe go for this one first, go for this one second, maybe plan this one toward the end of your trip if you can. You're going to have a better chance of booking that dining reservation later in your trip versus at the beginning. So yeah. Oh, and anything you want to add on dining reservations?
Um, are you gonna get into like? Did you want to talk about small dining at all, or walk up, or what is it? What is it called? Quick dining?
Oh, like yeah, like the quick service dining experiences. So when we're talking about the 60-day dining reservation, we're talking about like your sit down dining experiences.
Yeah.
So quick service, you can just walk right up and order. But if you want to be efficient, order in the app. So you can do what's the exact word for it? Mobile order. That's what I was looking for. So you can mobile order within the My Disney Experience app. And so you can literally just like pull up the map and then click on whatever restaurant you're wanting to go to. You can also like filter it so it lists all of the restaurants within the parks that you're in. And then click on wherever you want to go, mobile order, and then from there, pick what you want. You can literally use like Apple Pay. You can use the card you have on file. It's super duper easy. Once you place the order, um, you can place it for a later time in the day, or you can place it for like now to 20 minutes from now. And so they have different like time windows that you can place it. Um, if you do, sometimes if it's busier, it won't have that like now to 20 minutes from now option. And so you'll have to do that next window. But a lot of times I will place the order while we're like getting to the end of a line queue or something, and we know we're going to be about 15, 20 minutes before we're walking over to that restaurant anyways, or when I'm starting to walk over there. I will say though, if you place the order, there's then going to be a button after you place the order that says, I'm here, prepare my order. I always hit that button when I'm walking over to the restaurant. So like a couple minutes before I'm actually walking over there. No one's going to take your food. You literally have to show them your number on your phone in order for them to hand you your food. And all that does is make sure that it's ready when you get there. Because basically what they do is they get your orders, like they get all the orders lined up, but then they don't actually start making your food until you hit, I'm here, prepare my order. So go ahead and hit that before you're actually there. And then hopefully by the time you like get there and walk in, it's ready, you grab it and you go find a seat. So mobile ordering really saves you a lot of time, especially because you can be looking at the menu while you're standing in line for an attraction and then order it. As soon as you get off the attraction, hit I'm here, prepare my order, walk over, your food's ready, grab your food and go eat it, right? So it really cuts down on a lot of that, like, decision time. Where are we going to eat? What am I going to eat? And standing in line to order your food. You did all that while you were standing in line for another attraction. Makes you feel real efficient. I love it. It makes me so happy. Anything you want to add on mobile ordering, Mo?
I mean, honestly, all I can say is like, you know, I wouldn't like. Obviously, the sit down restaurants are fantastic, and those are the most important. But honestly, don't skimp on your quick service dining because one, it has a lot of really cool and delicious food. Especially during certain seasons, they'll have like special options or like seasonal food items that are super good. Like I know, oh, like the one that's like at Magic Kingdom, like as you're walking up to the castle, and then it's on the left. I forget what it's called. Like
Casey's Corner? The hot
maybe,
dog place?
yeah. They usually have
Yeah.
like a seasonal hot dog or seasonal fries
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of these places, or Animal Kingdom as you're like going in, I've always wanted to try the like barbecue mac and cheese or barbacoa mac and cheese.
It's so good. The
That,
flame tree barbecue mac and cheese or whatever.
yeah. Like there's a lot of really cool options all throughout all the parks. So, don't be afraid to just pop in for a snack and stuff. That's definitely one of
Yeah.
my favorite things to do. I like the snacks.
And that's something like, on our drive there when we did like the Run Disney events, Owen and I are like looking through the app, like figuring out what foods we absolutely want to try when we're
Yeah.
down there and like making a list. So it's a
Yeah.
lot of fun to, plan out what you're going to eat, where you're going to go, and things like that. It gets you excited for the trip.
Yeah. Yeah, no. And it's always, pretty good food. Especially after
Exactly.
you ran a bunch and you gotta get a bunch of those calories back. Definitely,
1000%. All right, let's talk about lightning lanes. So you've got two types of lightning lanes. You've got multi-pass lightning lanes, and you've got what is it, single lightning lanes or whatever.
isn't that like the
Is it
genie?
single? Well, so it used to be Genie Plus,
Okay.
and then it was like Genie Plus. There were lightning lanes, and so the lightning lanes were the single pass lightning lanes. Now they just have multi-pass lightning lanes, which is basically Genie Plus, but they're calling it something different. Essentially, is what they're doing.
Oh, okay, okay.
So basically, multi-pass is gonna be you pay a set fee. It like changes depending on the day. Changes depending on the park and the day. And it can also range. So I want to say it's like 15 to like I don't remember what the top tier is. It's changed a couple times. But if you go in the app, you'll be able to see, okay, this is going to cost me $30 per person to have the multi-pass lightning lane in Magic Kingdom. And so essentially you go in, you pay for that. If you're staying on site, you can book multi-pass or single pass lightning lanes 7 days before your trip, so the week before. If you're not staying on site, it's 3 days before. And so the multi-pass is going to give you, at that 7 day mark, you can book 3 attractions. And there's different tiers of attractions. So that higher tier, you'll be able to book one from that higher tier. And then that lower tier, you'll be able to book two. But with multi-pass, once you use that first pass, like on the day of your trip, you can go ahead and book another one. So it's either after you use that first one or 2 hours after the park opens, you can book another one. So that's kind of the basic rundown of how multi-pass works. Now, the single pass is going to be your top tier attractions. So, for example, in Epcot, that's going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. In Magic Kingdom, that's going to be Tron. And so you're going to pay a fee of some kind. Typically, it's like 10 to 20-ish dollars per person. And what you're going to be able to do with that, same time booking. So at that 7 day mark, if we all want to ride Tron, I'm going to go in, select who all is riding Tron, pay the amount for how many ever people it is, and then you're going to be able to pick a time window for Tron. And so all of your lightning lanes, whether it's a multi-pass or a single pass, you're going to have a start time. So say your start time is 9 a.m. to ride Tron. Okay, you have from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. to ride Tron for your pass. And then you're able to, with the multi-pass, book another one as soon as you scan in. With single pass, you're done. You used your one pass for that attraction. I believe it's a max of 2 passes for the single lane lightning lanes that you can buy within a day. But yeah, so you can purchase 2 single pass lightning lanes a day. So you could do like Guardians and Tron. So with that being said too, if you're planning on park hopping, you can, I can't remember exactly when it is you can book. Oh, and go ahead and give us your point that you're thinking of while I
Yeah. So Haley was
make
saying earlier that like whenever you are booking your lightning lane, um, they are like they do have a set time of like 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I will say, don't bank on this, but in any situation where you are like, let's say you're like running over to Tron, but you're maybe like 5 minutes away, and it's like 10 o'clock right then, right? And so you might be like 5 minutes late. Don't freak out too much. Sometimes, like when you get there, they are a little bit flexible with you. I think because I know for when we were doing the Run Disney, there was one day where we were like 5 or 10 minutes late to Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's my favorite ride. I was devastated. I thought I was going to miss Guardians. Um, but we got there, we went up to them, and we were like, "Hey, we're like 5 or 10 minutes late. We're so sorry. Is there any way we can still ride?" And they were like, "Yeah, sure." And they just let us go right through. And I think that also happened with what was it? Uh, what's the pizza restaurant in Epcot? Uh, no,
Pizza. Oh,
I can't. I don't know.
Viennapoli.
Via Napoli, yeah. Same thing happened for Via Napoli. We were like, I think almost like 10 minutes late for Via Napoli, like our reservation, and we were kind of worried we weren't going to get it. But they were super nice. They still gave us a table, and they did that favor for us. Obviously, don't bank on those things, but just for a little reassurance, you know, Disney workers, they're very nice. Like, I don't think I've ever met a Disney employee that I was like, oh, that person was mean. Like, they're very nice. They're usually very accommodating. They want you to have a magical time. And that's just like, I just have always appreciated that when, because I mean, Disney, it's hard to get around and get to all your reservations on time, because you're
Yeah.
trying to get everything done. Things happen. Try and be on time the best you can, but if something happens, don't freak out too much. Uh, usually there's a way to get through it, right?
Oh yeah, 1000%. Okay, so if you're park hopping with multipass, if you plan to park hop, you can make multipass selections for your first park. So at that 7-day mark, you can make your selections for the first park you're going to be in. Once you tap into your first multipass attraction or your 2-hour window passes, you can then make selections for your next park, provided you have already entered your first park and it's after the designated park hopping time. So I think right now it's like 2 p.m. is when you can start park hopping, but I want to say they got rid of it. For a long time it was 2 p.m., but it might not be that anymore. I'm not 1000% sure. A lot of these rules and things will change. So when you are booking your trip, double check them. For the most part, your premise stays the same, but sometimes some of the little details and things will change. So just double check on that. But basically, that's saying like if 2 p.m. was the park hopping time, then you could book for that next park after 2 p.m. Like you could book at 9 a.m. once you scan for the first time, but your booking windows would be 2 p.m. and after. That's basically what that's saying. Um, so a couple different strategies for this. I always like to go with the prioritize what's important for you. So if there's one attraction that's absolutely important for you, that should be the first one that you try to book at your 7-day mark. But there's a couple other ways you can do this too. Like some people will do like throwaway rides. So they'll book the ones that aren't as popular so that they can do it at the beginning of the day. And then that way they're like scanning, booking, scanning, booking, scanning, booking. Other folks will book the really like popular ones for later in the day and then stack all of them for later in the day and continue booking later in the day and then maybe have a later morning, not get to the park till a little bit later, or do some of those other ones that they don't have booked like right at park opening and then maybe go back, take a nap, and then go later. That's usually the direction I try to go because I try to get those really big ticket attractions, and those are going to be the first ones to go. So a lot of times you can't book them until later in the day, anyways.
Yeah. Um, do you also want to talk about, because one thing I was going to say is another big thing is like booking virtual queue and the lightning lane and like booking those together. So
Yes. So virtual queue, there's no virtual queues at Disney right now. Um, but with virtual, I know Tiana's isn't a virtual queue anymore, and Guardians isn't a virtual queue anymore. They have standbys now. So when an attraction's newer, a lot of times they'll do a virtual queue before they'll do a standby queue. So your standby queue is like your normal line. You just hop in, stand in line, and wait till it's your turn to ride the ride. Um, with virtual queues, when the rides first open and they're trying to cut down on that standby time, they'll do a virtual queue. And so with that, a lot of times it's 7 a.m. the day like the day of your ticket. You can hop on the app at 7 a.m. and try to get in the virtual queue, and then it tells you your boarding group, and it'll be like your boarding group 17. You're probably gonna board in the next hour and a half, make your way to the park. Um, And so that basically puts you into a virtual line. So you're waiting in line virtually versus actually standing in line. Um, and so the nice thing with that, like what we were doing with Guardians for since Guardians opened, was we would buy a lightning lane, but I would also try and get us a virtual queue. So then we'd have at least 2 passes a day for that bigger attraction.
Yeah, it's nice.
You can also, like with Guardians, for example, they were doing a 7 a.m. virtual queue drop and they were doing a 1 p.m. virtual queue drop. So as long as you were in the park at 1 o'clock, you could try and get in that virtual queue as well. So there were several times I got the 7 a.m., the 1 p.m., and we had a lightning lane, and so we rode Guardians 3 times.
That was
Um,
beautiful.
so the virtual queue, super duper cool. I love a good virtual queue. I love the virtual queue and the lightning lane, having both of those, because you can guarantee that you're going to ride it if you go ahead and pay for a lightning lane. And then you're not as disappointed if you don't get the virtual queue, right? Because it's a lot of just refresh, 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 tap, try to hit it when you're in. So yeah, that's kind of the big difference between virtual queues and then the individual lightning lanes. So you've got the multi-pass lightning lanes, which is going to be multiple passes. You've got the individual lightning lanes, and then you've got virtual queues. Multi-pass and individual lightning lanes, you can book those 7 days before your trip if you're staying on property, 3 days before your trip if you're not staying on property at 7 a.m. Virtual queues are going to be the day of, and those are also typically going to drop at 7 a.m. For like Run Disney events, there are also virtual queues to get into the expo, for example. Those usually drop at different times. Like I think it's dropped at 9 a.m. for the marathon, but it shows you in the app. So you just go into the app, click on the virtual queue button, and then it shows you all of the virtual queues that are available at Disney during that time. And then you just click on whichever one you're trying to join. So it's pretty simple within the app. Big thing is just get comfortable with the app. Play around with the app. Look at all of the maps. Look at the different features that you can do. Things like that. That's going to help you be successful for your trip. Anything you want to add on virtual queues and lightning lanes?
What are we about to talk about next?
I'm going to kind of give a recap of the big dates to think about, and then a couple other like random tips.
Okay. Well, then, one thing I do want to say, this goes for, the dining reservations and the, lightning lanes and the whatever, Genie Plus multi-pass, whatever it's called. um, you know, a lot of you're going to Disney for a magical experience. You know, Obviously, we all know that Disney can cost some serious cash, but if you're looking to get the most money out of your trip, like get the most out of it, or get the most of your trip out of the money, whatever you get what I'm saying. Um, like honestly, I think the multi lane pass and the lightning lane and the dining reservation, I think they are more worth it than anything else you can get at Disney. Things where you can almost put yourself above, other guests in a way. Like I know that sounds kind of awful. That was probably not the way to put it. Just a way to make yourself feel special and make yourself feel magical. I mean, going to those dining reservations, they take such good care of you. Going in these lightning lanes and not having to wait in the lines, and being able to save some time and make the most out of your day. Those kinds of things are worth the money. Every time we go to Disney, that is something that I'm always okay with dropping money on. Throw Haley $20 and be like, hey, get me on Guardians, please. Like, a lot of those things that, like the lightning lane passes where you're paying an individual price for the ride, it's because they're worth it. Guardians, I will pay money for that anytime to ride that ride. Tron, I guess. But you guys get what I'm saying. Like it's usually worth it. It's usually worth it. And I think, you're going to Disney for a magical time, spoil yourself, spend that money. And also half the time, I mean, when you're going to like Topolino's, how much is it per person? I want to say
it's like 50 to 60.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That experience itself is so worth it. I mean, you get a meal that's definitely filling. I always get the steak and eggs. It comes with like a really good uh, cheese Florentine, I think it was, or like a, it was like almost like a, what was it? I forget what the word is. Anyways,
I don't
really good,
remember.
really good dinner, and then I also get the coffee, and you get to meet the characters. You get a bunch
Uh,
of bread to start out with. Like it is phenomenal. Same with Woody's Roundup,
yeah.
super worth it. I think that one's like $50 a person, but you literally get an
Yeah.
unlimited meal. You can get unlimited salmon. Fun fact: you have to order it separately, but it's unlimited and it comes with the cost. I ate like 5 or 6 salmon fillets while I was there. Um,
It's
but
fair.
you get what I'm
So
saying.
at
The
Topolino's, adults are yeah.
Yeah,
At Topolino's, adults are $52 per person, and kids 9 and under are $33 per person.
yeah,
So it can definitely add up, but it's not horrible compared to what, and that's like one of the top tiers, right? That's one of the top restaurants. So,
yeah.
like, let me pull up Sci Fi, for example.
I
And
was gonna
really, when you
say,
think about it too, like, a lot of times I'll try to book us in the middle of the day, like 2, 3 p.m. if we're not planning on going back to the hotel and like taking a nap or something. I'll try to book it in the middle of the day when we're probably going to want to eat and we're going to want to take a break because you get an hour in air conditioning, sitting down, eating, and resting, right? Like,
yeah,
you can't even put a price on that. Let's be real. So for example, sci-fi, if you get the classic American burger at sci-fi, it's $25. So like, yes, expensive for a burger, but you're probably gonna pay $20 for a burger at a like uh what's the word I'm looking for? At one of the other dining locations.
yeah. Quick service.
Ah, yeah, at one of the quick service dining locations. And if you do the dining plans back now too. So if you add a dining plan onto your package, you can do certain dining plans that will include quick service and sit down, which is great bang for your buck. And then you pay for it before you even go to Disney.
Hmm.
So you just check that off. And right now, if you go this summer and you do the dining package, say you're a family of 4, you're 2 parents and 2 kids, if you pay for those 2 parents, both the kids are free. So any kids under the age of 9, you can get the free dining package if the adults on the party have the dining package.
Yeah. Also,
It's a great deal.
like sci-fi, you also got like you get an appetizer, an entree, and a dessert for the flat
That
pot,
was
right?
that was different.
Oh, that's something
We
else.
did the Phantasmic package, and so we
Oh,
did the Phantasmic VIP experience. So we paid like $50 a person, and so that's why we got the appetizer, entree, and dessert. And then we also got VIP seating for Phantasmic that night.
what's a crazy deal? I mean, $50 for all that? You like that's pretty good. I mean, you know,
Yeah. No, really, it
see,
really is.
this is where Haley comes in very clutch for planning your trip. I didn't even know that. Like I really do just follow Haley around. I'm like, oh, where are we going next? Where are we going next? Can we ride Guardians, please? Where are we going next? Topolino's? That's all.
I'm like, I need $20 for you to ride Guardians, and you're like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome.
So yeah, couple recaps here. 60 days before the first day of your trip, that's when you're going to be able to book those dining reservations at 6 a.m. 7 days before the first day of your trip, if you're staying on site, you're going to be able to book your multi-pass and your individual lightning lanes. Um, the day of is when you'll be able to do virtual queues if you're trying to do virtual queues. Big thing to remember is just stay flexible. Like, don't get totally heartbroken because you didn't get Topolino's or you didn't get Guardians or something. Refresh, ask cast members. Like, sometimes things will come up. And I always tell people too, like, if you don't get the dining reservation that you absolutely want, maybe go to the cast members at your hotel. Go to the front desk and be like, hey, we really wanted Cinderella's Royal Table. We weren't able to get it. Do you have any other recommendations? Or reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you with that as well. Like, for example, Cinderella's Royal Table, I would go to Akershus or however you say that in Epcot 10 million times before I'll go back to Cinderella's Royal Table because you get better food at the Epcot one. You still see all the princesses and it's cheaper. So, like, go to Akershus. Don't go to Cinderella's Royal Table. Pro tip. It's
What
cool to be in the castle, but, like, food's not great. It is what it is.
what's the one that's like also to the left, kind of like near the egg or the egg roll station, or not the egg roll, the you know what I'm talking about. It's like the big white
In
building.
Magic Kingdom?
Yeah, and you get to meet all the
Oh, Crystal Palace.
yeah, that one's also
The
a good
Crystal Palace.
substitution. You don't get to meet princesses, but you get to meet the Winnie the Pooh cast, and it's
Yeah.
also in Magic Kingdom. So like if you needed to do something else in Magic
Yes.
Kingdom, that honestly I think that one is phenomenal. Good buffet.
Oh, it's delicious. It's fantastic. So there's a couple other things like that too. And there are like at some of the resorts too, like there's one where Tiana is like your featured princess. That's what 1970 Park Fair or something like that is the restaurant. I've never actually been there. Or there's the one with Snow White and Dopey and the Evil Queen at Wilderness Lodge. So there's a couple other ones like that as well if you're like we really want to meet a certain princess or we just want to meet princesses or whatever it might be. Um so yeah, that's my big advice to everybody that, you know, stay patient. It's Disney World. There's so many magical memories to be made. You're going to find a magical memory. Don't try to create your own, you know what I mean? Like don't try to force a magical memory when they're going to happen on their own.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add, Owen?
I mean, I can say, in terms of a magical memory, some of the best memories that I feel like we've made are just like walking around the parks and like as we're like going on to the next place and we just see, like I remember one time we were walking through Hollywood Studios. I think we were heading towards the Toy Story area. And as we were walking through like that little corridor, I just saw Sully out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, I want to meet Sully. And then that's when we got to meet Sully from Monsters Inc. And it was incredible. That was a great just stumble upon find.
Yeah.
Or like, seeing the Green Army
Yep.
Men marching band walking through Toy Story Mania as you're like there's a lot of spontaneous things that happen at Disney World. You're bound to have one of those moments where you're like, oh, this is awesome. Where did this come from? Oh my god, they knew exactly what I wanted in this moment. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Disney's good at that.
100%. 100%. I totally agree. One more thing I will say before we close out, couple packing essentials. Portable chargers are wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're, booking dining reservations, booking lightning lanes. Like you're gonna be at least one person in your party is gonna be on their phone a good bit. I always have at least two portable chargers in my lounge fly ready to go that I can
That's
pull
crazy.
out and but it's true. I mean, you're like booking lightning lanes, booking multipass, doing dining orders, like all sorts of stuff on your phone. You even check in for your dining reservations from your phone. Like you're always on the My Disney Experience app when you're at Disney World. All right.
Lucas
Oh, and
doesn't like
anything
the
else you want to add? I know he's like, I'm done with this recording, Mom.
app. um,
How to Train Your Dragon is over, and I'm done.
I don't think there's anything else I necessarily want to add. I mean, I'm sure whenever you're booking with Haley, she'll have plenty of other tips and tricks for things that you specifically have questions for. Because I mean, it is a lot. Disney is a big thing to plan. Not that I've ever had to do it because I've had Haley to do it for me. But there's lots of times where I'm like, "Ooh, I really want to do this," or "I really want to get here," and Haley will find a way to fit it into the schedule. So, if you have questions
Yeah.
or things you definitely need to do, talk to Haley. I mean, literally, she's been doing this since I couldn't even remember the first Disney trips, but she was still doing it. You know what I mean? Like she's good at this. Trust me. I've never had to worry.
Yeah. So thank you, Owen, for that plug. That was awesome. Let me know if you would like to plan a trip. You can shoot me an email at haley.ragsdale@academytravel.com or DM me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. My handle is Haley Ragsdale Travel. I'll be happy to help you. Like Owen said, there's a lot of things. So figure out what's important to you. If there's certain things you absolutely want to do, let me know. I'll be happy to help you figure out how to make that a priority in your vacation and fit that into your itinerary. So yeah, thank you all so much for listening and taking your time to listen to us talk about Disney because we love it and we hope you do too. Until next time, bye bye.
See ya.